All right, hey, what's up? How y'all doing today? I welcome y'all back to my channel. Today we're gonna do Christmas ornaments. These particular Christmas ornaments I made last year. I didn't have a channel last year, so because I'm a new channel, so I just figured it'd be neat to kind of pull these out here, show you what I did make last year, and kind of go over a little different spin to these, just a little different way I did them this time compared to that time. If it's something that you think you'd want to see, stick around. We're going to go ahead and jump right into this. All right. So last year's I made, let me zoom in here a little bit for you. It had Rudolph with a reindeer behind it. So Rudolph sat here in the front. The reindeer, the tree was in the back. The snowman was in the front. The tree was in the back. Santa Claus was in the front. Of course, tree in the back. And on this one, I did a little different. I put the snowman, Santa Claus in the front, and the fireplace was in the back part of it. And then this one here, the last design that I made, the camper was in the front, and then the deer and the forest was in the back. This one I'm not going to do this time. I'm not going to go over this, but I am going to go over the Santa Claus, the snowman, the reindeer, or Rudolph, and trees and the fireplace. Um, so this, like I said, I made these last year. But being I didn't have a channel last year, I couldn't obviously show them. So I figured this year would be a good time to just go ahead and show you these, how I did them, how I designed them, and how I came up with the patterns and all. Um, the ones I do this year are going to be a little bit different. I watched another channel, and he kind of showed, well, not me, but everybody, a different way of being able to put the, let me go back here, of being able to put the base on the circular part of the ornament. The way I did them was I had these little grooves set off in this, and then I slid the inner circle into these grooves right here, and it worked fine, and it did okay. It was just some of them were a little bit tight, and they didn't quite go in so easy, and then you had to kind of move around a little bit, and then you glued them. The way Hobo with Wood does them, he just has these little tabs right here that the base will just slide down over that tab and rest on those little bottom flat parts right there. I kind of like that a little bit better when I saw him do that, and I said, well, I can incorporate that style into my style of what I did with my ornaments for last year. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this now, like I said, and we're going to get started right now. All right, I'm going to delete those, and I'm going to keep these here just for a little reference. So if I do get hung up or whatever, I'll be able to kind of come back and look at it as a reference. But I started out with a circle, and I made a circle 4 inches round was what my circle was. Now remember, if you're drawing out your circle, if you hold the shift key, that'll make it a perfect circle. I'm going to change the millimeters up here to inches. That's way too big, so we're going to change that to 4 tab 4. Oh, not 44. 4 tab 4. And that's going to make us our 4-inch circle. All right, let's get rid of that. That's what was showing up there because I didn't hit my selector tool first. So now if I click on this, you will see it as a 4x4 circle. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to duplicate this, and I'm going to put that on a toolpath for a later use. Now, I'm going to unshow the toolpath just so we have the original 4x4 circle, and that is on the red layer. The reason why I have that toolpath is when I go back and try to align stuff in here, I'll be able to align them all up in there. It makes it a little bit easier to be able to see that. Now, if we bring up the blue layer, you'll see it. If I hide the red layer, now you'll see it. So we're going to put that up on there, and I'm going to go ahead and hide the blue layer. And like I said, I have the blue layer one, the toolpath one, just for when I'm trying to line stuff in this circle. I can get them all lined up in there. All right, so we're going to start out with the top part of the ornament, and I'm just going to put a box up here. I'm going to change that to the red layer and go back to selector tool, and I'm going to make it, we're going to change that to 3 millimeters tall. I'll probably make it a little bit taller than that. That looks kind of short. But let's put that down below here, and let's make it up to That's a little bit too high, I think. We'll put it right there. Now you see we're below this corner and below this line here. Now we have the little one highlighted already. Now we're going to hold Control and we're going to select the outer ring. And then we're going to come up here and we're going to align that center. So now that's dead center in that. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to weld those two together. All right. Now, kind of make this a little curve, a radius on that corner so it's not so sharp and rigid. I'm going to put a 1.5 radius on it. Let me see how that looks. That looks pretty good right there. So we're going to leave the 1.5 radius on it. Now we're going to draw another circle. We're going to start on this line and come across to this line and then hold shift, and that's going to make that a complete full circle. Hit the selector tool and bring that up. Now what that did is that just made it, from starting on this line and going across to this line straight across, it assures that you have the same size circle as what that outline is right there. Now we're going to come up to probably right about there. Now I want to control and duplicate that. And I'm going to put that on a blue toolpath as well. Now, I think that looks pretty good right there. And we're going to go ahead and the circle's already selected. Hold Control, select the outer one, and then select the bottom circle. And now we can go ahead and weld that. That's what we're looking for right there. Now, if I show the blue again, you'll see it's going to have that blue line show up in there. Then, like I said, that's going to be what we're going to use for right now. Now, we're going to take another circle. Hold down shift, make it a perfect circle, and we're going to change that one to the red layer. And I'm going to go ahead and put that here. Now I'm going to show the blue, click that, and I'm going to bullseye that in the middle. That's what having that toolpath is going to do. It's going to allow you to be able to bullseye those in there so you know you have them right. Otherwise, you could be down just a little bit and it don't look like it. Maybe it looks like it's okay, and you're looking at it like, I can't really tell. Well, by having that blue layer there, it's going to allow you to make sure that you do have that bullseye straight in the middle. That's all that blue line, that blue layer is for, the toolpath is for. All right, so now we know our circle is center of that circle. And what we're going to do now is we're going to try to put our tray across this bottom here. Actually, you know what? First, let's go back to toolpath layer. Click the toolpath, and I want to duplicate that. Put that on a red layer. Unshow the blue layer again. Now you have the red layer here, and I'm going to, I can offset that. And let's see how far we want to offset that. Let's go with 1. We want to go inward. 1 is definitely not enough, so let's go ahead and change that to 3. Nope. Let's go up to 6. Let me see what 7 looks like. 7 millimeters. I like that. That looks a little better. Yeah, I like that. All right, so let's go ahead and hit OK. And now we can go ahead and take this and put that on the blue layer. And I think that probably gave me 2 blue layers. I don't know why I had that other one there, but let's go ahead and click on it and right-click, delete. Now we have our 1 toolpath. Okay. Unshow the toolpath. All right. So I'm going to take a box, and I'm going to probably have it down to about here for right this second. And I'm going to put that on the red layer. And I want that box to be, my wood is 3 millimeters. So I'm gonna put that at 3 millimeters for the height. And we're going to leave that length as what it is. And we're going to go ahead and hit the selector tool. And we're going to line it up to where abouts we want to have that bottom part go. We're going to have the year down below here. So we don't want to have it too low to where you don't see the year. But you don't want to have it too high, because then you won't be able to put any of these other things behind it, and it won't look as well. So you want to get it as low as you can, but not too low that you can still see the words that you have underneath there. And I think that looks pretty good right about there. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put another box, and I'm going to change that box to 3 millimeter, tab 3 millimeter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this box, bring it down, and put that box just to where it snaps. Right there, you get the crosshair. It's going to be right on that. This is basically, I'm going to change that to a toolpath as well. Oh, let me change it to the orange toolpath. Okay. So now if you look in this corner, that is perfectly in that corner. Now, I'm going to select that, Control and D, duplicate it, and I'm going to bring that over to this side here. And I'm going to take this corner and weld and snap it right into that corner right there. Now we have that selected, and I'm going to hit Shift, and I'm going to select that one, and I'm going to group those for right this minute. Now I'm going to go ahead and select the inner circle, and I'm going to hit Control and B, and that is the one we're looking for. As you can see, you have all these different views of what it would look like, but the one we do want is Union A and B. So we're going to select that, hit OK. All right, and I see we got a little issue with that. So a couple ways you can get rid of that. I'm going to leave it right how it is. I'm going to go in here to the node editing, and I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to take this one and just bring that till it snaps on that line. And I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to bring that down here so I know where I'm close to it. Now I'll select it, hit D key, and put that on that line. Okay. Let's go back to selector tool. Now we have our beginnings of the outer part of the ornament. And what we're going to have now is we're going to have this is going to be our circle part, which is right here. And that's going to need to be into that groove area that we just made right here. So the way I do it is outline. And now hold that circle, bring that straight across to this one. Remember, hold Shift, get your circle, and now let go. And remember what I said, that is your middle point of that circle. Bring that to that. Now, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw our box from this corner. Let me just undo that. I wasn't on that corner. And that's clicking on that. We'll get another line, put that line right here. So that's going to allow me to get that to snap on that line. That'll be a lot easier than trying to eyeball it. One more time. Square. And now we know we got it right where we want to have it. Selector tool, Control D. And let's bring that over to here. And put that right in there. All right, perfect. Now that one's already selected. Let's go ahead and select this one and group those together. Now select that circle, Control B, and it was A and B, intersection A and B. Nope. That's the one we want right there. Subtract A from B. All right, now we can get rid of these temporary lines that we had. Right in place of that, and it's going to give you your perfect circle going around that. And that'll all sit right in, snap right up in there. Now, we're going to take this little corner right here, and I want to put just a small radius on that. Let's see what 1.5 looks like. That looks fine. We'll use the 1.5. And that'll help it kind of slide down in that a little bit easier. Okay, so now we have what we're looking at is the outer part of the ornament, and then the inner tray that's going to fit right on top of those little grooves that we put there. Now, we need to go ahead and get our tree here, put our tree about where we want to see it, and let's go ahead and get Rudolph. And let's put Rudolph. And the way I try to look at him is you put them on the same kind of level of the bottom part of those. You don't want Rudolph way up here, because then you wouldn't see the tree behind it. So you want to kind of get the right, however it appeals to you, whatever it is that you think looks good for you. But that's kind of where I have mine at. And he's going to go right about down here. Now, I want to have it so that the snowman, Santa Claus, and Rudolph, you'll be able to interchange them. So I want to make sure that I get those to all be the same size of base that's going to fit in the slots onto that round curve. So what I do is you can go ahead and get a box and then put your box on how wide you want to have it. But remember, you're going to want to have it 3 millimeters high. That's how thick the wood is that I have. You can always change it if you have thicker wood. You can always change those, but 3 millimeters is what I use. And then you want to have it to where you have the right spacing going from left to right. So you're kind of looking whatever, if you want Rudolph more up in here in the middle more and a tree in the middle more, or you want Rudolph towards the edge and a tree towards, it's whatever you like, however it is you like to see it. I'm just going to keep mine right here like this for now, and I want to go ahead and control and duplicate that box as well. Actually, you know what? Let me undo that. So we just have the one. I'm just going to make it a even 29, even though 29 is odd, but it'll be just 29. Actually, we'll just make it 30. Now it's even. Okay, now I'm going to control and duplicate that. And that is going to be what is going to be cut into this round piece so that Rudolph can slide over top of that. Now let's go down here and highlight Rudolph, pull him up a little bit, take this and put that. So we know these are the exact same dimensions and size. Now we need to get a border around. So let me go ahead and change that to line so we can see. Now we're going to click the outer line and we're going to go over here to offset. And offset is not going to be 7 for sure. So let's try and see what 2 look up. We want to go outward. 2 is way too big. So let's go with 0.5. Let's see. Yeah, 0.5 looks good. I'm going to leave it at 0.5. Select the resultant object. And I'm going to take my box here that's the tab that's going to be for the Rudolph. And I'm going to put him right up underneath there, about where I'm looking at having him be. Probably right about there will be okay. Now, I'm going to control this one also, and I'm going to duplicate that. And the reason is I want to try to make a little lip that this is going to be able to sit when it goes in the hole. It's going to have to where it'll have a piece outside here that's not going to allow it to fall straight through. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. So we know that that's 3 millimeters high. So I want to change that to half of that, 1.5 millimeters. And I want to go ahead and I want to put a radius of 1.5 on that. Now, let's get rid of this one here. And we'll delete that. And I'm going to put this, instead of it being 30, I'm going to probably shrink it down about 5 millimeters. So let me see what 25 looks like. 25 millimeters wide. That looks pretty good. That looks real good. So now our hole that's going to be in the round platform that the Rudolph is going to sit in is going to be 25 millimeters wide and 3 millimeters high. So I'm going to control and duplicate that. Bring that down. And now I'm going to select these two. I'm going to actually, let me bring it up first. Find the middle. We know it's right in here. Bring it up. And now hit Control, hit the top one, and let's make sure that that is centered. Now, let's select both of those. And let's weld them together. Now, what I was telling you, how it's going to be able to sit in there without it falling through. If you didn't have these tabs and you brought this piece and you line that up here, you'd have to worry about if the wood was a little bit skinnier than 3 millimeters, let's say, you'd have to worry about that Rudolph just sliding right through that. But by having these tabs on here, it's actually going to set him up on top of the wood so that when you glue it, you don't have to worry about that falling straight through. For instance, just like this. This is the one I made earlier. And if you look at the Rudolph, and then there's the round plate that it's going to sit on, without those tabs on it, you'll see what it does. See that? By not having those tabs, it's going to be hard for Rudolph to be able to sit and stay there, especially if you don't get the right kerf on your machine. It just slides right through there. So by having those lips on there, it's gonna only be able to go so far. So when you glue it, you know it's gonna stay right where it is. That's the purpose of having those side pieces right there. Now we're gonna take and we're gonna bring this up to about, we'll go right up. See, by having this little bit, but this 1.5 millimeter space, it's going to engrave this to this layer right here. So you can actually bring all this down just a little bit farther so that you know that you get a good meat that's going to be able to hold when you weld these together. They're not going to be as flimsy and break as much. Because if all you had was, let me get rid of this for a second. If all you had was just the tips of those holding on and you weld those together. Oh, let me select the outer layer. And now you weld those together. That's all you have holding it is this little piece and this little piece. Well, by moving this up, that's going to allow you to visually see you're all the way to the bottom now where that hoof is going to sit on top of that board. So now when you weld those, click this one, weld it. Let me try it again. Click that, and weld it. Now you'll see you have quite a bit more meat holding on to this piece, this tab that's going to go inside that round circle. So it's going to hold it up a whole lot better. Let's get rid of that little tool line there. One more time. And delete. Okay, so we now have our Rudolph is now completed. So we can put him off here to the side. And now we can work on the tree part. So we got to get another box for the tree. Now this tree already has its lip right here, so that will not fall through the hole that we make to be able to set that down into. It will not be able to fall through it. It's got the same thing as what that has. So we're going to get our box, come into this corner, drag it down to this corner, let it go. That's our size of what we need to have for that. Now let's grab the tree, move the tree out of the way, and now let's position these to where you think you want to see them at. Like I said, I kind of want mine a little bit off the top there and a little bit off the bottom here. So what I do is I'll go ahead and I'll put a box. Now let me zoom in. and take this line and snap it right on that. Now, if I put this and snap it to that box, I know I have the distance that I'm going to have the same here as what I'm going to have down here. So let me click that box, bring him down. Okay. Grab the middle and snap it on that line. You can see how far we were off now. So if I would have put those and kept that's where it was, now they wouldn't be the same equal distance from here to here and here to here. So that's just the way I work it. Now, this little tool line here is gone. We don't need that anymore. So we now know that the top of that line to the top of that line is the same as that to that. Now, we want to make sure that they are centered now. So select both of those and hit this button right here, and that's going to make sure that they are centered equally. Now, we're going to click, they're already highlighted, we're going to hold Control, and that same button, now that's going to make sure that they are even with this outer circle. So now that technically should be exactly the same distance around that whole entire circle. All right, so Rudolph and the tree is done. Our platform that the ornament that these pieces are going to sit on is done. Now we want to make sure that our snowman will be able to interchange with Rudolph. Santa Claus will be able to interchange with Rudolph. So if anybody is like, I wish I had Santa Claus in the tree, well, you could easily do that without having to make any adjustments. Or I wish I had the snowman in the fireplace. It would melt, but some people might want that. So you'll be able to interchange each one of these with the tree or the fireplace. So you just want to make sure you do have all those exactly the same. So we know that we have this part right here. So what I should have done was save this and then duplicated them, which I did not do. So we're going to do that real quick. We're going to select that, duplicate it, bring it down. That is the width of what this is here. Now we need to select that, duplicate. No, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and undo. Let's just get another box and go here to there. All right, now we know that was 1.5 millimeters high, so we're going to change that to 1.5 millimeters tall and 1.5 millimeters. So that's going to be our top part. And we're going to go ahead and make another one for this bottom piece, which we know is going to be 3 millimeters high and 25 millimeters wide. So we can bring that down. Now we know we had that radius, which was 1.5. 1.5 radius, 1.5 radius. Now, go back, selector tool, select this, put that in the middle, select that, and now let's make sure it is lined up in the middle. There it is. Now we can take these two and we can weld them. Now we have 3 of those, so let's go ahead and duplicate that. That one's going to be for the snowman, and that one's going to be for Santa Claus. Okay, now same thing you did with the Rudolph. We're going to offset it, the 0.5, select it. We're going to take this, put this. Now remember, we did that little line to this corner here. Now we're going to select both of those and we're going to move them up to where that line is just about touching that. Now we don't want to have this centered because it could look, well, let's take a look and see. Let's click off of that. Click the bottom base, click the outer circle, and let's center it and see how that's going to look. See how it's kind of off here and off over here? That's not what I would look at for it. So I'm going to go ahead and just eyeball it and just shift it over to probably, I'd say, right about equal here and there. It looks close enough that you really won't notice it. Now we can go ahead and select the outer one, and let's weld them. And that's welded. The snowman is done. Now the snowman will fit in here. There we go. Now we're getting to where we got to be. Okay. Remember what I said. This needed to be green. And then we need to make an offset of that green. And we need to change that to the red layer. Now when you hit fill, you have the Santa Claus engraved how he wants. Now we're going to go ahead and click this and pull. To right about there, looks good. Now select the outer one again and fill that. Now go back down here. So go to line, select, offset. Okay. Change that offset to red. Now if we go to fill, it should be what we're looking for, and there it is. Now, we got to take the fireplace one, is this one here, Control D and duplicate it, and bring that back down here. Click on that, drag it up to where you're just over it, and let's make sure that that's centered. And now that it is, weld that together. Now we have all three of those. We have both of those backgrounds. Click on it. All right. And then we're going to do the 2024. All right. Selector tool. And we're going to turn our blue toolpath back on. Control, select the blue toolpath. Make sure it's centered. Now, I know people use another toolpath across the middle, and they line their text to path. I don't do it that way because it does some crazy things for me. So this is just easier for me to go ahead and do it this way. But there's always more than one way to skin a cat. Now, bring that down to, let's go right there. And let's just readjust this. And one more time, bring it up just a hair. And readjust till we get it to where we think it looks pretty good. And right there looks pretty nice. And then the 2024, make sure we got to drop it down one more time. And then we're going to H space it across like we did. And turn our blue layer is on, select it, put just a little curve to it. Let's go ahead and select the blue and make sure it's centered. There it is. Okay. Now remember what I was saying. We're going to change the Merry and the Christmas to the fill layer. And we're going to put those are on fill, so they're going to burn and do what they do, and that's on cut. Now, when you go to do this, if you were to make this ornament yourself right now, you want to turn off that blue layer because you don't need to see that. Now, the first thing you would have to have is your engrave on top. And then your next one would be your next color, which you could always go like this, select all those, and then you can change them to blue. Now you have everything on the same color, so you don't have to worry about having different cuts layers up here to have to worry about contending with. So now you have exactly what you want to have. Let's get rid of this. We do not need that. All right, the only other thing to kind of go over with is resizing slots and tabs. So we know that we want to have them 3 millimeters. So if we click this and change that to 3, and we want to make this, let's say, 2.5, we want to drop those down a little bit. Now, once you hit this, oh, hold up. Let me go back. Got to highlight the ones that are going to change. We'll just highlight everything. Let's do it one more time. Tools, resize slots and tabs. Now, if anything is grouped, it will not be able to change them. But we got the 3. Our old material was 3. That's the size we made all these. The new material is now going to be 2.5. If you go to the slot width, you see these are all your slots. And you got the arrows facing to the end. Got your arrows facing in. That lets you know that that's which way it's going to draw them in. Now, when you hit apply, it's going to shrink those to now it's going to fit a 2.5 millimeter wood. Now, the other ones you have are going to be these guys down here. This one I'm thinking must be grouped. Nope, it is not grouped. It must not have selected them all. So let's go back over all of those. Okay, now they're all dancing. All right. So now you have your tab heights. We're going to go to Tools, Resize Slots and Tabs, and right here's your tab height. This should have, that has the 4. That should have went. It did not. These 2 went, so we can adjust those now. Let's apply those. Hit OK, and let's find out why, because it is grouped. That was grouped. And that's not grouped, but that's not recognizing as a slot, as a tab height. So what is that tab? 2.38. That's why it's not registering that, because it's 2.38. So let's go ahead and select this guy because he did not change. Go back to Tools, Resize Slots and Tabs, Tab Height. Now we can change that to 2.5. Now let's go ahead and click this. This was 2.38, I believe it was. Resize Slots and Tabs, 2.38. Tab height. Now it's recognizing as my tab, and it is going to make it to the 2.5. We're going to hit apply and OK. Now, me personally, when I go to do all these, I want them all to be 3 millimeters because I can change them once I go and I check my kerf, and I find out what the thickness is of the material, because each plywood is always different, and each section of the plywoods are different. This corner might be 2.8. This one might be 2.5. It all depends. I change all mine. I keep them all the same, and I'm going to keep them all at 3 millimeters. So let's go back in there to show you how quick it is now that we do have the right stuff. Resize slots and tabs. The old thickness was 2.5, and the new thickness we want is going to be 3. And the slot width is going to be first. So you're going to see it's going to change those outward now because it's going to make them bigger. Apply. And now, thank you to Hobo with Wood, we don't have to go back in. We can just hit apply, and now we can click the next one, which is tab height, which is going to be all your tabs on these. And we're going to change all those. Let me go back out. This tab height is what, this might be group 2, isn't it? No, it's not group, but it is not selecting it. So what is the tab height? 2.16. Okay, so now we need to change that one to, so we got to change this to 2.16 tab height, change it to 3, and okay. Now we know that one's changed. Let's go ahead and change these. And let's go to Tools, Resize Slots and Tabs, and tab height 2.5, and apply. Now all your tab heights are all going to be 3, and all of these slots are all going to be 3. So that's it. I'm sorry it took as long as what it did. I was trying to make a quick video, but you know, you get wrapped up in this stuff and you start going over the things and you start seeing it's tough. It's tough to make a short video, a quick video, when you're doing as much as what you're doing. But that's what it is. I'm going to drop a picture in here probably right about now. you'll see the picture of what one of them looks like, and it's going to be the reindeer one with the tree. Once I get and there's the other part there to it. Once I get the new one done, because like I said, I didn't get the kerf right on it, so it did not come out right. But I'm gonna drop a picture in there of what one looks like when it is done, and then you'll be able to see what it looks like. All right, guys, I hope you all learned something. If you did, please hit the like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification. It's going to let you know when I got another video coming out. But I enjoyed it. I hope you all enjoyed it. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I appreciate y'all. All right, guys, later.